And we're going to roll the intro. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final day of Route 66 Overwatch Cup action brought to you by Beyond the Summit. I'm LD.
I'm ZP. You see, he was saying my name for me all the other days. I'm just saying it was like, wait, that's a little bit of silence there.
Yeah.
Now I have to tell you what my name is. But
Yeah, well, listen, I'm tired of carrying you, ZP.
oh, my goodness.
Just kidding. But yeah, guys, we do have a game underway here. We're just very quickly going to look at the brackets. It's Rise Nation taking on Tempo Storm, who do have a stand-in ZP in this best-of-3 showdown. We're about to begin our opening map. It will be Lijiang Tower, so let's go ahead, get right into the action off the bat. And we've been given a lot of potential names for the stand-in. Chair user apparently sounds like the actual one.
I guess we'll have to see. But it is going to be Tempo Storm with stand-in for Hui here moving forward. Nothing too crazy about either of the team compositions here to start things out. Definitely one to watch here, of course. Spirit and X-Frenzy, BTS players for Rise. Not a jump to say that they are rising stars here, and a big reason why Rise Nation has had the success that they've had as of late.
X-Frenzy does find the opening pickoff here on the McCree to get things underway as Desro gets into the thick of it, shielded up by the Zarya, protected for now, dropping low though as the biotic grenade connects on him, but he's not dead yet. He's able to survive through that initial burst. Everyone's starting to collapse on the side of Tempo Storm. And it looks like they will lose the point initially.
It's Midnight coming in big, getting 4 kills of Zarya in that last fight. Opening skirmish. That's what happens when Zarya is able to get that much energy early on. And now, if you take a look at Rise, they will have ultimates up here for this next fight. A rather big advantage over Tempo for now. Mangachu will be getting Death Blossom pretty quickly here. They will have Nano Boosted. They're going to go for that right now. Here comes Mangachu trying to crack things open.
And Mangachu moving in while X-Frenzy up on the high ground is just going to delete him from the fight. Great positioning on the McCree. V-Drop, meanwhile, almost falling to a follow-up as X-Frenzy drops down, gets to work. A little ride. Mini will be taking one back to the spawn as he gets also brought down. X-Frenzy with a very clutch save.
It was a clutch save by X-Frenzy, but it was completely set up by Locke, who had the sleep dart on the Mangachu. So Mangachu sitting there sleeping while a Deadeye's getting channeled from above. That is one way to deal with a rampaging Reaper. So, and he also used Death Blossom on that too, so that ultimate is off the table. It's going to be relatively even here for the next fight, but Midnight on this ground time could set up Rise as they look to get into this next fight.
All right, Mini trying to move in, but they are walking into the Graviton Surge ZP. This could be a really big setup. They do have also follow-up control to come through from their Reinhardt. Going to move in. 100 energy here as he gets to work. Welcome to the microwave, says Midnight, but B-Drop able to take him down. And so far, a pretty good contest. Hammer getting dropped and will manage to bring down one, though. He's under a lot of pressure here. Looking for the charge. Not quite going to connect on that. Still standing his ground. On the point for now. Finally, he gets taken into the wall, but he survives through it all. Kept alive by X-Retsy's supportive McCree, and they will still hold the point. Rise Nation cruising towards this first map victory.
Tank play from Rise Nation definitely on point. Desro coming in a fight where X-Frenzy and Spirit were kind of indisposed for part of it, but take a look here. X-Frenzy's going to be going around this flank once more. You have the Nano Boost coming in from Tempo, but X-Frenzy coming in the flanking Deadeye. Gonna grab 2 just right away.
Yeah, all that's left is Spo. He desperately has to get on the point just to keep this overtime alive, and he's gunned down by Spirit. I don't even think they touch it again, ZP. Only man alive here, the Zarya. And the stand-in chair user, unable to get there in time.
Zarya stand-in for Tempo, very, very last moment.
Apparently chair user needs to step it up. Chat is displeased with the performance. I don't actually think that's what it translates to, but that's what they're calling him, guys, so we're gonna roll with it.
You know what? Twitch chat is never wrong. Even though people like to say that Twitch chat is always wrong, it's never wrong.
So, pretty standard compositions here from both teams for the control point maps. Do you want to see anything changed up? Like, would a Genji fit in? Should that Tracer be swapped, or are you pretty content with the picks? We're going to see Mangachu busting out the Roadhog.
I'm pretty content with the picks here. I mean, I think Genji is a hero that can work in quite a few circumstances in control, but you really need a standout Genji player to do it. Otherwise, you're probably better playing a little bit more standard. Mangachu coming in on the Roadhog, though, I'm a pretty big fan of, just because he had a really big Roadhog game yesterday in situations like this. So See if he's able to make it work here on the night market.
Gets onto the point right away, but they've already lost Mini very early, so now they're going to be in a 5v6. Not a great situation, ZP. He's got to find a pick on the Roadhog if they want to reestablish some control here, but they just back off immediately. They will forfeit the point once more. Rise Nation off to a great start.
Well, that was really weird from Tempo because they had a bunch of people go to the right, but they had Mini still off to the left. Usually you want to stay with your Reinhardt, or at the very least, if you're having people flank, you don't want your Reinhardt to be the one on the flank. So I think a few signals did get crossed there, but it's going to result in a first capture here from Rise Nation.
Good
hook again from Mangachu, gets Midnight out of focus here, and now here comes Tempo with a 65 opportunity.
Oh, they almost have an Ana boost available, trying to keep Mini alive as he charges onto the point, but X-Retzi shutting them down immediately, getting to work as that McCree's still alive at 40 HP, while his Reinhardt goes in hard. Desro trying to find openings here. He has access to the Earthshatter as a follow-up, but he will get kept out of the fight for the time being. They can look to bring him down here. No, Mangachu gonna fall before he can finish him, and over his corpse, that Reinhardt will stand right back up. Desro still holding on to the Earthshatter. They still have the point, and they will maintain control.
And for Tempo, they were able to get that early hook from Mangachu, but other than that, it just feels like a lot of things are out of sync for Tempo right now in terms of just people going at the same time, focusing the same targets otherwise. But once they go against Spirit right now, holding on to Death Blossom, rather than just jump in on Tempo. I think he thought they were coming out the main door. Now he's going to have to re-establish to the other side, but still plenty of opportunities for him to get in here, LD.
Yeah, he's being patient, hiding back behind his Reinhardt. Now X-Retzi going to get things going. He has a Deadeye available, still holding on to the Death Blossom from the rear. They don't seem to be paying much attention to him. Roadhog going to get isolated. Mangachu trying to heal up, goes for the hook. Now just wraithing away, trying to stay alive as long as possible. And will move back on the point, which has been craftily snatched away by Mini. He just snuck in as the Reinhardt. They'll take it for now, but if they lose this fight, it could be bad. X-Retzi sitting back, looking for the opening here. Spirit, they do have the Spirit Bomb now, though, with the Ana boost, so we could see the Blossom Nano combo any moment.
And here's the key thing right now. You take a look at this game. Rise, they only have to win one more fight going forward. Mangachu is probably their #1 target that they need to get on. He's been the one getting pickoffs early on for Tempo, and even in fights that Tempo hasn't won, he's been the one keeping them in it. So they can dive on Mangachu early here, which I think they might be considering. Spirit definitely was going for it, getting something by the Graviton first.
And he just starts to clear them out now through the Nano boost. He lived, goes on to Spo now, looking for additional kills. 3 already down. And despite a really good Graviton, he just immediately transitions into Death Blossom, tanks through it, and he'll, at least for the moment, look to recapture the point. They're going to contest this heavily, ZP. Can they bring Mangachu down? No, they will lose their Reaper. This point might be going right back the other way.
Point very, very close right now. Again, it's Mangachu still up and alive, able to whole hog in, taking down Midnight, and should be able to land this hook on the Reinhardt, pulls him in. Actually, he gets charged by other Reinhardt, puts him out of range of Mangachu for a split second, but he's going to fall. Tempo Storm keeping control of this point, and now for Tempo, they only need really one more good fight to hold this. It's been a gem of an effort so far here by Mangachu's Roadhog.
Already trailing 1 in this best-of-5 first map, so definitely don't want to be in that 0-2 hole, especially with the stand-in factor. But coming into this next fight, they are going to have a lot of ultimates to work with, ZP. Trying to hook that McCree with the high noon. Can't quite find the angle with the Reinhardt shield blocking the path. He goes for the hook on the Reaper. Not going to connect, and now Spirit can run free in this fight.
And that's what Spirit was trying to do in a few fights earlier, just take out Mangachu early, and just like that, it's 3 very quick kills for Rise Nation. That burst threat from Tempo is gone, and Rise Nation now well positioned to take this map. Tempo will have enough time for one final attack, and they're going to have an Earth Shatter to go with it, with the Nano Boost, but Spirit holding on to that Death Blossom. This could be an ambush that ends the game, LD, if he plays his cards right.
Is he going to go up top? He's thinking about it, opts not to, and now scouted out by B-Drop. So if he tries to make that move, it might be a little more obvious teleporting up. They probably should have gotten the audio cue from that, and they've already started to react, but he's just stalling them, wasting time as the clock ticks low, still hanging out, looking for the opening. Good Earthshatter coming through, commitment by Mini as he moves in and just clumps down that Reaper. They didn't get off their Nano Blossom. They may actually end up losing the point now.
It's 3 quick kills here from Tempo. Mini beautifully setting up Tempo in that fight. Now Tempo on the point with their entire team. It's up to Rise Nation to come in here and keep this in overtime. Lucio going to sacrifice his body here on the point. Still actually alive, but not for long. It's going to be Tempo making a grand comeback here.
Almost hooked Spirit onto the point to get the contest, but I think they were going to hold it there anyway. Not getting off the Nano Blossom there was just devastating in the end. So with that, 1-1.
It is 1-1, and again for me, standout story is that if you look at how Rise Nation was playing, when fights where they took out Mangachu early, they won pretty convincingly, sometimes winning without a single casualty. Fights where they weren't focusing on him, Mangachu would usually get a very early pick into the fight and just continue going forward. So for Rise, the main change-up for them that they need to do here is deal with Mangachu's Roadhog. If they isolate him first, I think they're going to have a much easier time.
Yeah, the Roadhog definitely did work, and you saw the fights where he got shut down, they really weren't able to engage very effectively. At the same time, I think you have to be a little worried if you're Rise Nation, because that wasn't even like the hottest Roadhog performance we've seen out of Mangachu. If he starts to warm up, it is early in the day, we've talked a little bit about players, be a little sleepy, a little slow, he could take over even more, so let's see if he finds those hooks. Both teams moving into position here on the tower. Hook is going to somehow reel in Lock off the bat, but he stays alive. He gets shielded and then grenades himself back to safety. Will be in fighting shape for the time being. This is going to open up X-Retzy to go to work.
X-Retzy immediately down B-drop, going in more, and this is where McCree's so good. Clean up. Roadhog going to be taking the long fall off the bridge, and Spaz with the boop. Rise, despite that early hook from Mangachu, going to be getting first control.
Yeah, they are going to get first control, but it looks like more damage dealt here by significant margin by Tempo Storm, so could see at least some of their support ultimates coming online quicker with the Lucio one soon. But actually, Lock is very close to a nano boost, so scratch that. It's going to be a tough retake.
They're rolling up to the Earthshare right now. Mini about to have one of his own, but the hammer going to come in, and here comes Rise once more. 3 kills set up by Desros. He just charges in. Gets knocked off towards the very end, but damage has been done.
All right, well, they only commit that. They didn't even use the nano boost there. I thought they might, but they have so much left for the second fight, and not to mention Death Blossom coming up. This could be 2 fights in a row they easily hold.
And you take a look at the ults they have here, you're absolutely right. For the offensive tempo, they do have a Sound Barrier up and an Earth Shower, but unless Mini just gets something huge, it's going to be pretty rough. I think Tempo's better off going for a Junk Rush here. If they use Sound Barrier on this and don't get anything, it's going to be really hard for them to turn back, but here comes Grabs up to Midnight. Counter Sound Barrier's out, and X-Retzy tried to channel Deadeye, doesn't quite get what he's looking for.
Death Blossom is available. Are they going to commit the nano boost, or do they just sack the point? They go for round 2. He dies in. He'll get a couple, make it 2, almost 3, trying to bring down that enemy. Lucio going for a little pop in the jaw, but he just scoots up to the high ground. Spo toying with Spirit's Reaper. Nicely done there, but still unable to actually cap the point, CP.
Spo with a little bit of swag there towards the end, just crouching repeatedly afterwards. Pretty happy with living there. Reaper's going for the style with that elbow, just didn't quite happen. And take a look at this now for Tempo. Tempo has a lot of ults in their favor right now. Next fight is must win for them. If they lose this fight, they're not going to have time for another attempt, so everything is going to come down to this. Nap time should be opening us up here with the Nano Boost. We'll see just what goes on here. Sorry.
All right, Chair User, what you got, my friend? They're going to move into position. He holds on right now to the Graviton Surge. Lets it go. We'll catch out 3, it looks like, which are quickly dealt with, bringing down pretty much everyone on the point, and now the Roadhog going to work with the whole hog. Can Mangachu get the job done? He moves in, lands the hook on Spirit, guns him down too. That point secured in overtime, but it is going to be a long road to crawl all the way back and win this third map.
It's going to be very rough, and again, for Rise, if they take any lessons from the last round, not only do they have a whole lot of time here where they can just bank up ults and all the rest, but really, so long as they dive Mangachu early on, Tempo really hasn't had any other big threats. I mean, B-Drop is on the McCree here, but he hasn't really come out super strong. So I just feel like if you Rise, you dive Mangachu early and go from there. So we'll see how this works out. Mangachu going to have a lot clear for Tempo over the next few fights.
Oh, he finds the hook, but it goes around the side of the building. The angle a bit awkward with no direct path in front of him, but we can see a nano boost of Reaper moving in. They want Mangachu. They're going to get him. Biotic Grenade will prevent Spirit from healing up from those souls. He almost dies. Not quite, though. Gets in on the rear. He'll bring down more, and it looks like a clean retake. Nap time going to be taking one, and with that, the point is theirs, and now 2-1 for Rise Nation.
And again, you just got to look at the prioritization from Spirit there. Once they saw that the hook was off cooldown from Mangachu, they immediately went for the nano boost, and Spirit dove directly onto him to make him the first casualty of that fight. So I think Rise has definitely cracked the code a little bit here. Now Tempo in a little bit of trouble because they've been relying on Mangachu for their burst damage. It kind of means that for Tempo, if they're going to have Mangachu get focused that hard, they're going to need B-Drop to come forward and pick up some of the slack.
All right, well, back here on the control center, do we see any swaps, or do you think you just stick with the composition for Tempo Storm?
I think for Tempo, you probably just stick with this here. I mean, they did swap from McCree to the Reaper, just because you see Reaper quite a bit more on this map. It's a little bit better than McCree as far as close quarters situations go. Also pretty good if the other team is running Roadhog, although it is a little bit weird because B-Drop is on the Reaper. Doesn't quite have anything super tanky to go after aside from the Reinhardt and Zarya. doesn't have to worry about triple tank setup, but both teams going to get into it here on the room.
Really good biotic grenade to start this off. It might allow them to find an opening, get that early pickoff. They're going to move in. Hook coming through, pulling the Reinhardt, but an instant Zarya shield to keep Desro alive for the time being, and in fact, it looks like Mini and B-Drop going to fall. Very good support play. Still unable to bring down Desro, just keeps on getting healed up. X-Retzy going to use that opening to find some kills.
And for Rise Nation, despite that early hook, they were able to just focus fire on the targets they wanted to get early on. They got the first pick off and quickly snowballed it from there. So Tempo not able to really secure that first pick off, and now they're going to get pushed back. Rise Nation get much better position for the next fight, and a bit of an advantage as Locke, holding onto that nano boost, Expertly on the Jedi. That time could use an early nano boost here, but we'll see if it actually gets the value that he's looking for.
Let's see how aggressively they're going to look to take this point. Nano boost, like you said, also is up on nap time, but they're at an ult disadvantage. Goodbye to grenade coming into combo with the Zarya ult for now. Reaper moving in position from the rear, gonna bring down the Zarya, looking for a bit more. Spirit still patiently hanging on to the ult. They still have the Nano Blossom ready. They did commit a Deadeye, but that's a fairly inconsequential ultimate in the grand scheme of things.
For me, what I'm just seeing here is that we're seeing Rise Nation with just better engagements time and time again. And look at Spirit right now. He's just waiting. Oh my goodness! Mini with the charge. Spirit saved by the nano boost at the last moment, but it was so low on HP, he couldn't get deep into the backline. So Tempo staying alive here. 5v5. We'll see if they wait for the 6 before trying to get back in.
Do they look to move in? They have their own nano boost available. Quick charge in, looking to get back to the point before Spirit respawns, but he is into the fold once more. And X-Retzy, once again, could be the playmaker, looking for a Deadeye. When's he going to let it go? He's got locked on to 3, 4 targets, finds 2 of them. Ult brings down one immediately, but B-Dropped at the same time doing okay work elsewhere. Not enough, though. X-Retzy, it's a shooting gallery up top. He is just not being contested on that ledge at all.
Not in the least. And again, Tempo's just had problems engaging period right here. So everyone can get wiped out here from Tempo. They will have one last attempt here to try and put this in overtime. They're not going to be able to get good positioning as a result. Block can depend on B-Drop trying to go for a miracle, but all the tools are in favor of Rise Nation dealing with this, even though Tempo gets the first 2 kills.
They won't even get back on the point. Rise Nation shutting them down here in map number 1. A 3-1 victory. Felt like it was pretty close to being 3-0, and hard to say how much of it is the stand-in effect ZP, but that was a pretty dominant and one-sided affair.
So one thing that I would say here is that you think about how Tempo normally operates. I do know that Hui is a really big part of their team, both in terms of comms, calling out targets, that sort of thing. And there's also times where Hui can't fluctuate the DPS, so he's been doing a little bit less of it here. So I'd say that the stand-in is definitely affecting them quite a bit, because you looked at how Tempo is playing there. Tempo, when they won fights, they were relying on just getting early pickoffs with Roadhog, and it's hard to win a game, an entire game. You know, maybe you can win a round or 2, but winning the entire map off just Roadhog alone, pretty difficult, especially when the other team keys on to the fact that, hey, we're only losing fights to early Roadhog hooks. Let's just dive on the Roadhog early on. All
right, next map up going to be King's Row, and Rise Nation going to even get a choice of attack or defense here. So, for those who don't know, Tempo Storm was very late, so they actually didn't get to choose any maps. These are all Rise Nation's choices, and now they even get to choose how they start. They are going to opt to start on defense here. I know you've mentioned quite a few times. I think it's a pretty attack-sided map, at least for that initial point, ZP.
It absolutely is, although it does have the advantage for defense, where if you do somehow get the miracle first point defense, you are almost all but assured of winning your attack in turn. Just because, again, it's so rare for teams to actually have a full hold defense. The offense gets probably double to triple the amount of attacks off compared to, say, some of the other maps with a longer run to point A.
With that, guys, while we wait for the second map to get underway, just to give you a quick update on where we are in the bracket. This is Rise Nation versus Tempo Storm NA. Winner of that will play Immortals. Then we hop over to one of the marquee matches of the day, FaZe versus Cloud9. Loser drops down, plays the winner of that Immortals match, and then we have the grand finals. It's double elimination, best of 3, so if you come from the lower bracket, you have to win 2 series to take the day. So should that lower bracket team take the first map, could be a pretty epic day, and we would get 6 best of 3s.
And I gotta say, you look at the upper bracket match between C9 and FaZe, very good likelihood that whoever gets knocked into the lower bracket there would still have the possibility of coming in and doing the bracket reset from the lower end, so could be some very good games up ahead, of course. Let's not count out anyone from the lower bracket that's in there currently right now. A lot of good teams here in this tournament.
All right, with that, it is going to be Tempo Storm in the red trunks for now, and they will be on attack first. So anything you expect to see in particular out of this defense coming out from Team Rise Nation?
What they're doing right now makes a lot of sense, and I know they bop back and forth between using an Ana or not, but I really like the fact that they're opening up here with McCree Zenyatta. If they've done their homework on Tempo, they should know that Tempo really likes running the Pharah when they can, and this is one of the maps where Pharah is pretty good on opening attack. But Mangachu, if he runs the Pharah into McCree Zen, he's not going to have a good time. That's one of the hardest counter compositions you can have to a Pharah. So I think what we might see here, even if Mangachu comes out on the Pharah, he's going to see what the defense is running here and back off immediately. Although Locke actually deciding to get off the Zen going to Ana. It's not necessarily a great boon here for Mangachu. He's still got to deal with McCree, but it's better than going into the Zen.
And Mangachu yet to give any indication what hero he might be playing, but there you go. The Pharah at least initially picked up. I don't imagine we'll see all of these heroes being run, but we have seen the offensive junk on this map as well, so I doubt it would be the stand-in to play it, and probably not together with the Pharah, but I would love to see it again. It actually worked out surprisingly well the one time we got a glimpse of it, CP.
I mean, the thing about the Junkrat is that it catches people a little bit off guard because they're not as used to dealing with it right now. And also, you think about how people clump up on this first point on King's Row. It does really force you to put yourself in positions that you might not be comfortable with. And right now, the stand for Tempo still hanging on to that Junkrat, so this is legitimate right now, LD. This is really happening.
All right, it is happening. We're going to see two heavy projectile spammers, Junkrat and Pharah, just laying in hard and fast to that Desro shield. Not going to make life particularly pleasant for the Reinhardt. You can already see it starting to crack and fray at the edges. They will give up the initial archway. Holding farther back at its Spirit, who opens things up, is going to find a hook here and slow down that offense as much as possible. Now, winding his way back through the hallways, but Desro, actually getting knocked backwards by a concussion grenade towards the safety of his teammates' arms for the time being. They continue to spam, work on that shield. They do have a shield advantage here as far as the Reinhardts go, but can they look to punish with it? Desro getting pushed around by that concussion grenade, but they're still not finding pickoffs on the back of it now. And a boost already out. Desro, he's charging it.
Desro is charging in. The thing about Tempo, Tempo is very heavily low in DPS, but it's not helping that right now. Desro just able to move in and mop up. Mangachu's still alive, and offensive respawns will be coming in pretty soon here, but I think the interesting thing to note about Tempo's offensive comp here is if there's any theory behind it, it'd probably be along the lines of maybe you don't need the run as much support-wise because the offensive respawns are so close. I mean, running 76, which is unconventional, Widowmaker on offense, which you don't see all the time with Junkrat and Pharah, it's probably one of the weirder offenses we've seen in terms of trying to just brute force through this first point. But again, when respawns are that close, I can kind of see some theory behind it. Even if, we'll see if it's effective here versus Rise is playing much more efficient.
Yeah, B-Drop just trying to work on that Reinhardt shield as much as possible, but the hammer comes in. Desro looking to go to work. It's Mangachu trying to turn it around with the rocket barrage. They do have a res available. 3 teammates down. This could be what opens up the point.
It's almost certainly going to be what opens up the point. The defense is fully outgunned. Next Retzi would need the Deadeye of the gods right now. He does have a Graviton setting up. Deadeye coming up.
Good bounce back there by the concussion grenade. He's not going to be able to get a skull at anyone, CP. It's not looking great. He tries to flash over the shield, but very well handled by Mini. Still, though, Desro just comes rushing back in, and X-Retzi able to clean up regardless.
Okay, so I said Deadeye of the gods. Apparently, I've underestimated X-Retzi. He just needs to headshot everyone and push them back. That's so unfortunate for Tempo. That was a fight they absolutely should have won. But X-Retzi coming in, down numbers, a lot of his team gone down, able to get the picks needed to bring that right back. Just amazing stuff coming out from him. And now Tempo, only a minute 30 left to crack this point. They lose Junkrat immediately, and they're going to have to do the 6v5.
Spirit again finding the picks and now going to work with the whole hog and a boosted as well, knocking back the Reinhardt. Desro completely caught out in a corner and turning back the other way. Mini will go down now onto B-Drop, dropping him as well. They just completely cave in the offense. Only a minute to go. They will have, I guess you can call it ult advantage here. Not the easiest to combo ultimates though with the Pharah, Soldier, and Reinhardt ults. They're very reliant on a big Earth Shatter for this push.
Well, actually, even though Spo had the Soldier ult, he opts to go for Lucio. That's how important speed boost is. They are going now to a very traditional composition here with the last minute underway.
X-Retzi, Deadeye ready again. Last one didn't do that much work, but it set up the rest of the fight. Will he find a better opening? Currently on the low ground, just plinking away at Mini Shield, which is about to break. He does have the hammer to drop, but he actually gets stunned first, or Desro gets stunned by him. Will end up going down. Mangachu finding the openings at long last. They're breaking through this point. They're doing it pretty cleanly. and it looks like the point will be theirs. Spaz, Spirit trying to turn it around though as best they can, but it's not going to end up happening. Spirit will fall. Xretzi back in the swords, and at long last, with 20 seconds to go, they will lose the first point, but that was a hell of a hold.
Absolutely, and the important thing there, Xretzi was down, so there was no shenanigans of him coming in and killing everyone once more.
Didn't press the kill everyone button, which is just left clicking for him.
And this is just weird to see this coming out now, where you see Mangachu coming out here on the Hanzo. Usually, Hanzo's real benefit here on King's Row is point A. Sometimes people will stand the Hanzo going the street space and beyond, but a lot of it just comes down to the idea that you've taken first, you have momentum on Hanzo, people have ultimates immediately combo with it. He's going the Hanzo a bit cold here, which again, it could work out, but strange defense though coming up the ground on the set of this fight.
Oh, it is high noon indeed. Xretzi finding 2 kills, and that ends the push initially. And they can afford to blow ults like the ZP. Even if they overcommit them, perhaps, the time is very limited here for the offense. 1 or 2 more good fights like that, and they may not even be able to get this card before overtime hits.
And that's the real problem here for Tempo, is that they don't have much time to really build up ultimates. They'll get one really good attack here with decent ultimate power if they save it. But if they try and go in haphazardly, like say B-Drop just tries to rush in with the Death Blossom here, and they don't win the fight, that could be it already. And you see B-Drop now, he's looking against the backline, does have Death Blossom on the mind. We'll see if it pays off.
He's threatening to move in. He gets off a great Death Blossom. Unable to hook him there. Spirit will end up falling and might have already used the hook in that case. And 4 instantly dropping. Nicely comboed with not all that many ultimates quitted, just the Nano Blossom. They're going to push through and get very close to the second point.
And for Tempo, it was absolutely necessary that that went well. If they went for that and say B-Drop got slept and taken out of it early, I don't think they would have the punching power needed to actually bring it back. And we do have a swap up here coming on Rise. Spirit going to be going onto that defensive Genji. And for Rise here, they will have an opportunity to bring this back. It's going to be Soundbear on the next fight. We'll see if they can hold Tempo right here in second. Tempo still running very low in time.
Payload getting close. Spirit does want to contest though. Both teams dropping the sound barrier and the beat as they look to charge in. Zarya shield quickly dealt with. Spirit quite low, but he's going to switch strike through. Continues to contest Mangachu as much as possible, but he gets pulled back into a Graviton Surge and into the Meat Grinder. Desro now respawning as Mini and Mr. Chair User going to charge forward. Mangachu finds the triple off of that. Good Graviton Surge setup, and they will get to the second point. Nice comeback here down the stretch after a very rough start.
And the other thing with Mangachu here, it hasn't really been the most explosive Hanzo game. He's just been getting a decent amount of damage, not too much of late pickoffs, but did have the Dragon Strike there to fall through the Graviton. So for now, it's working out. Defense, though, they should have a few tools here to at least hold for a little bit of extra time here. X-Runs again, drop the Deadeye soon, zoning things back. Mesro can make the most of that opportunity with Earth Shatter. No, he just goes for the Earth Shatter. Doesn't quite get what he's looking for.
Yeah, shield was still up. Meanwhile, Mangachu getting contested here will be brought down. Maybe not the best Earth Shatter, but the follow-up kills coming out. Xretzi still has the Deadeye available. Hanging onto it patiently. They'll bring down Chair User on the Zarya, and that is going to derail this push. They'll have 1, maybe 2 chances to touch the card and move it forward. As Spo, he's taking a little while to go down here. He's like, hey guys, please kill me. Please kill me. Finally will drop. Mangachu, though, heavy damage from Xretzi and forcing them back once again. So they did switch back to the lock Zenyatta, by the way. ZP, thoughts on that?
It's interesting to see Zen here. I mean, it must be in some degree to just punish the Roadhog, just because it is pretty good against Roadhog, but other than that, it's a little bit unconventional. Still, though, a lot of ultimate power up here for Rise. They're going to open up the Graviton. Here comes Spirit. Will that blade be coming out?
He patiently hangs on to it, and now he gets to work, but the sleep plays are huge and going to completely shut him down. Have a nap, says the one and only, fittingly named Mr. Naptime, but as Spirit comes back to life, he will at least find a second kill, and Naptime is going to be going down here, so they will reset.
I've had a realization. You said Mr. Naptime. His name's Naptime, but his name would be 10 times better if he just changed it to Mr. Naptime. It would be phenomenal. It'd be like like budget Mr. Sandman from Punch-Out.
That would be pretty badass, actually. I would be down with that. That was a clutch start, but still, despite that, there are quite a few ultimates available. Zen all ready to go, and he will commit the Transcendence now to hang on this fight. Desro patiently waiting. He drops the hammer. Perfect timing. Right as Mini's shield goes down, and now charging him out of the fight. He will get slept in turn, but this is where Spirit can take over. He almost has a sword. If he's able to get it off, could be huge, but not able to just yet. Now the Genji sword goes to work, bringing down first the Lucio, looking for more, pulled into the Graviton Surge. The only man even alive right now on the offense is the Tracer B-Drop. He's charged away. Desro says, hell no. And that ends the push right there.
And it was an interesting game there where, again, Rise was very, very close to that first point hold. Although Tempo, they were running something very off the wall. It took them going to something more conventional where they got off the 76, they went to Lucio. They got off the Junkrat, they went to Zarya. They got through immediately, so it makes you wonder how much time Tempo might have had if they just went to more of a bread and butter strategy than sort of the off-the-wall, more DPS-heavy setup that they initially came up with.
Yeah, you do have to wonder how much of that is the stand-in effect, being down 0-1 already, perhaps not feeling particularly confident they can win in a head-up fight. And just looking to mix things up, get a bit of practice, if nothing else. But it was a decent showing from the offense in the end, ZP. We've seen teams win with a lot less.
We absolutely have. But here's the problem that Tempo's going to have going forward is that now they have to defend and not only just full hold on third, they have to hold it a little bit further out because they did not complete the map. So Rise going to have a lot of tools here to finish things out. And remember, King's Row is a map that teams usually do get to the end. It's pretty favorable to the offense. So Rise absolutely favored here on King's Row. And remember, they take King's Row. That's going to be it. Tempo Storm will be knocked out of the tournament.
And with that, they would move on to play Immortals, who are currently waiting in the lower bracket. Cloud9 and FaZe, and comfortable guaranteed top 3 in the upper. We'll see them later today. Team's about to get underway, and I guess the only thing that is even slightly different is we are going to see Locke on the Zen, though. He's played a lot more Zen than most support players. If anything, the Ana's maybe the more uncommon option for him. They're going to combine it with the Spirit Genji, so going with their bread and butter. It's going to be, as it so often has been, up to the Roadhog play. It feels like Mangachu going to be taking up that mantle.
And here's the problem for the Tempo defense right now is that they're almost entirely reliant on Mangachu here. Spirit will be getting buffed by that Zen a lot. He's going to be a more powerful Genji than usual. And the only real person that can stop him is Mangachu. And Xretzi able to take out B-Drop immediately. 65 opportunity. Great burst damage from Rise.
Oh, he's got the flashbang too. Mini, no shield up. You're done for, sir. Now charging back. Mangachu completely on the run. They're routing the backlines with Spirit just rampaging all over them. Swift strike after swift strike. That Zen orb doing work. They just know how to play around Locke so well. And with that, the first point instantly claimed. I mean, it's offensively favored for sure, but even that is about as fast as you can get.
And that was a very quick opportunity that came out. Xretzi just two-tapped B-drop there, was able to get the headshot and the immediate fall through. And when you lose your support that early, it is bad news bears as Rise was just able to quickly snowball that. Spirit, Xretzi capitalizing on the opportunity, just feasting on Tempo's backline. And now, speaking of feasting, there we go, that Dragon Blade. Spirit ready to cut them up and serve them up.
He's going to start it off early. There's no Ana Sleep Dart to shut this down. There goes the Air Shatter. 2, gonna be 3 soon. Spo with a good knockback though, and they actually managed to hold the line okay with the tanks, but they're gonna slowly get picked off. Slightly staggered here. Spo will be next. Genji just giving a little poke with the dagger. This payload freely moving, and they still have a Transcendence. They still have a Deadeye. They might just fully roll to the second point uncontested.
Spirit right now very, very far forward, giving me flashbacks of the days where Zenyatta Orb lasted forever and you see Genji's at the enemy team spot. Spirit not too far removed from that, very, very far up right now. You're going to be seeing a zoning Deadeye in all likelihood here in a moment. Could be hard for Tempo to reestablish.
They're going to try to reestablish. Payload kind of getting in the way of Xretzi. He's shielded up to block that Reinhardt stun. Great play by Midnight on the Zarya. Does unleash the Deadeye. The Transcendence committed as well, but counter Transcendence comes out a second later. Nobody dead yet on the side of the defense. They're holding very nicely, ZP, and Mangachu comes back in with the whole hog, spraying and praying for kills. Spirit almost brought down by the enemy Discord Orb, scatters and backs off. They will not get the second point that easy.
You know, though, when it comes to ult economy, that was a very good showing coming out from Rise, where you look at Rise right now, they drained all the support ultimates off from Tempo. Tempo's going to have nothing to defend themselves with here in the next fight. They're going to have to deal with Graviton and Dragon Blade and Sound Barrier. Rise should be able to take this next fight, unless the stand-in for Tempo here gets a really big Graviton, but even then, it's still in Rise's favor, so I really like how Rise is set up here. And again, you take a look at dealing with Spirit, it's really only Mangachu that has the tools to do with that. So as long as he doesn't get hooked, he should be able to wreak a lot of havoc in this backline.
Moving into the backline, speaking of which, currently dealing with nap time on the Ana, wants to bring him down first. He will find both supports. Spirit showing off his Genji prowess will pave the way for the second point, and they still hold on to the Zarya ultimate. So, like you mentioned, they've been very disciplined about not overcommitting ults to take these fights.
I just want to note how disciplined that was from Spirit coming out there. Did you notice that when he was waiting for Mangachu the hook and then threw out the Dragon Blade. As soon as Mangachu went for a hook in the front line, he immediately brought out the Dragon Blade because he knew he didn't have to worry about it anymore, stopping him in the middle of his ultimate.
At that point, the only thing you really have to deal with him is the sleep dart, and that's a lot harder to hit on a Genji who's dashing in. Oh, see ya later, Reinhardt. Gets shut down mid-charge, and now this could pave the way. 4, 5 dead, actually. And they don't even have to go all the way as EP. They've got to start swapping to just the most mobile characters possible. Even if the Tracer comes out, I don't know if it matters. It looks like this one, indeed it is. It's over. Rise Nation gonna end up taking it 2-0.
And for Tempo, that was going to be rough to begin with there. I mean, they were coming in with a stand-in. Hui is a very critical part of their team. I mean, everything I've heard about Tempo is that they're sort of building around Hui in multiple ways, so always a little bit rough when you're missing that key cog, but Rise Nation still looking very strong, and I gotta say, Retzi was channeling some real greatness over the course of this game. He might not have played the game, but for me, my play of the game was his comeback on point A, because that was actually just insane.
He was robbed. He was robbed. But nonetheless, speed drop, had a decent showing here, but you just gotta take your hat off to Rise Nation. They will move on to play Immortals next, and then after that, we hop up to the upper bracket. So a pretty quick dismantling, but we did not see Tempo Storm at their finest. And, well, like you said, stand-in effect, definitely a big factor here, ZP. Still a decent showing overall in the tournament from Tempo Storm.
And still props to Tempo, too. I mean, it's easy for tournaments like this to go, all right, we know we haven't been playing our best recently. We're missing Hui. Let's just go for the forfeit. But that's, a little bit rough to the tournament side of things. So Tempo's still good sports. Went in with the stand-in, tried to make the most of it. Props to them, and hopefully better luck to them as time goes forward.
All right, well, with the victory here, not sure, I think our brackets need to be updated. But yeah, we will see Rise Nation moving on to play Immortals. That match will be coming up next. Actually, no, I guess we're playing FaZe versus Cloud9, then we're playing that match, it looks like. So, all right, FaZe versus Cloud9 hype. This is the big one, ZP. Could well see this match 3 times today. First in the winner bracket finals, then potentially again in the grand finals. And should the lower bracket team take the first series, it could go to 3 BO3s.
I certainly hope so. FaZe and C9, both teams at the top of their game right now. And the C9 team really gelling well as of late. So really curious to see how these two Titans match up.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here. You are watching the Overwatch Route 66 Cup. My brain's still coming online. That was a very quick one. Didn't have time for the caffeine to wake me up. Of course, big shout out to FYM Hot Sauce for helping to make the event possible, guys. If you're interested in hot sauce, if you like your food hot and spicy, you can go to bts.fymhotsauce.rocks. Use the code Route66. We'll probably have a hot sauce shop bet later, even if it's just me.
Ooh.
I'll do something.
No, if you're in on the bet, I also have to be on the bet. In which case, we all know where it ends.
If there's something in particular you guys want us to bet on, just let us know in the chat. We've also got the green hot sauce in addition to the extra hot, and what is this one? The original hot, which is probably the mildest. So we'll try that. We'll do something with the green, I think, since we haven't tried it yet.
My thing is, chat, make him do the extra hot. He's already sort of has aversions to spicy stuff as a natural rule, but make him go for the extra hot if he does any bets. That's my request.
Mercy, please. Thank you for joining us, guys. Quick first series, FaZe versus Cloud9. Actually, the match coming up next, so we will see you in just a jiffy for that.